For signing the agreement for CHS employees is June 25, 2021. The agreement, CHS Department Employee Confidential Agreement. All CHS employees are required to sign the new electronic CHS Department Employee Confidentiality Agreement. The region has developed an LMS module that will allow your annual agreement to be completed and tracked electronically. The deadline for signing the agreement for CHS employees is June 25, 2021. The agreement can be easily accessed through ROSI, course code PPO554. And should take you approximately 5 minutes to review and sign. Please reach out to the Education and Wellness Unit at Senior Services Education at york.ca or your manager/supervisor if you have any questions. How to. For your convenience, access ROSI on a regional computer and have your volume on. 1. Click here or the ROSI icon on your desktop. 2. Select the Learning Management System. 3. Enter the course code PPO554 and click Search. 4. Click on Course Code. The course will begin for you.
Welcome to the review of our mission, vision, and values at the Regional Municipality of York Senior Services. What is our mission statement? At the region, we strive to promote the health, well-being, safety, and independence of our residents. When providing services to our residents, what are our values? At the region, we strive to respect our residents, be accountable for our actions, and provide compassionate care to all of our residents. Welcome to the review of our mission, vision. When providing services to our residents, what are our values? At the Welcome to the review of our mission, vision, and values at the Regional Municipality of York Senior Services. What is our mission statement? At the region, we strive to promote the health, well-being, safety, and independence of our residents. When providing services to our residents, what are our values? At the region, we strive to respect our residents, be accountable for our actions, and provide compassionate care to all of our residents.
Welcome to the Privacy and Hipaa Refresher Training Module for the Senior Services Division. At the end of the module, you should be able to explain the importance of the Personal Health Information Protection Act 2004, Hipaa, describe and apply the 10 privacy principles, identify a breach and the Privacy Breach Protocol, and describe the changes to the Hipaa legislation. The Resources tab contains helpful links where you can learn more. You are required to complete a short test at the end of the module. 70% is required to pass. The test will be comprised of information provided in the module, as well as a series of scenario questions. You will have the opportunity to practice this information before you do the test. You will not be evaluated on these elements. Rather, these are opportunities for you to apply your knowledge. Feel free to view and practice them as often as you wish. The various interactive elements in the training module do not count towards your overall score. Privacy is not about secrecy. It is about individuals' control of how their personal and personal health information is handled and creating client confidence and trust. Think of how this would affect not only your clients, but your own personal life. How would you feel if your privacy was breached? Click the image that best represents the protection of privacy. Privacy is a fundamental right for all people in Ontario. Government organizations and health information custodians, HICs, that collect personal information and personal health information must follow the rules set out in the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, MFIPA, and the Personal Health Information Protection Act, 2004, PHIPA. All staff are responsible for ensuring that privacy requirements are met. The privacy legislations that apply within the Community and Health Services Department are MFIPA and PHIPA. It is important to note that not all branches within CHS are governed by PHIPA, although all branches are governed by MFIPA. MFIPA defines personal information, PI, as recorded information about an identifiable individual. The information need not include their name to qualify as personal information if it is reasonable that a person could be identified even in the absence of a name. PHIPA defines personal health information, PHI, as any identifying information about an individual's health or healthcare history, such as family medical history, details of a recent visit to your doctor, or your Ontario health card number. Please take a moment to read through the chart and compare the two legislations. Which legislation or legislations governs information relating to someone's health care? Which legislation or legislations allow individuals to formally request access and/or correction to their own information? A health information custodian, or HIC, is a person or organization responsible for collecting, using, and disclosing personal health information on behalf of their clients. PHIPA sets out criteria that must be met in order to be defined as a HIC under the Act. Take a moment to read the types of HICs we have at York Region below. Staff within CHS who work under a custodian are considered agents of the HIC and have the same obligations as the HIC to collect, use, disclose, and safeguard personal health information. Why is PHIPA so important? PHIPA is important because it provides regulations and guidance on the protection of one's extremely sensitive health information. PHIPA provides rules around how information is handled and shared, which protects one's personal health information wherever it goes. With an increased number of individuals involved in the delivery of healthcare, these rules help protect information as it travels from one healthcare professional to another. PHIPA also provides guidance to ensure that all transactions of personal health information are done so in a safe manner. Through the advancement of technology and electronic communication, there is greater ability to share and transport files with the click of a button, making it extremely important to keep up to date with technological advancements to keep information safe at all times. The 10 privacy principles are a standard for the protection of privacy. These principles are the heart of Ontario's privacy legislation and influence how we protect privacy at York Region. Let's explore each of these principles and see what they mean to you. Principle 1 and 2 are accountability and identifying purposes. Accountability means that all staff are accountable and responsible for the personal information and personal health information of clients. Identifying purposes means that before information is collected, it must be clear to the client what information we are collecting and for what purposes it is being collected. Principle 3 is consent. Before staff collect, use, and disclose information, consent must be received from the client. There are limited exceptions to this rule. The client must understand what they're consenting to. There are two types of consent: implied and express. Implied consent to the collection, use, or disclosure of a client's personal health information is consent that a HIC concludes has been given by a client. Express consent can be obtained through written or verbal consent by the client. When verbal consent is obtained, please make sure to document the date and time consent was provided by the client. The client has the right to withdraw consent at any time. Once this has occurred, consent is no longer valid. Withdrawing consent is not retroactive. An example of implied consent is the disclosure of personal health information for the purposes of filling a prescription. The pharmacist can reasonably assume consent to the collection of this information when the prescription is presented. An example of express consent is a signed consent form. This is necessary when a person is requesting information on behalf of an individual. An example of this is a request from a law firm for personal health information regarding their client. You will be using the following terminology in the next section. Hover over each picture to get more information. True or false? A client can change their mind once they have given consent. Who can be a substitute decision maker, SDM? Lisa and Brenda are roommates and have become friends. Brenda has recently become ill and needs to start a new treatment that requires her to go to appointments 2 days a week. Lisa wants to know what is happening with Brenda. Knowing that they are roommates, you proceed to tell Lisa about Brenda's medical diagnosis and her treatment. Should you have disclosed Brenda's treatment and medical condition to Lisa? Joanne is a resident whose 3 adult children often visit her. The eldest daughter is the appointed SDM for healthcare decisions. One day, the other 2 children come in and start asking pointed questions to you about their mother's recent treatment and want to make changes to her care plan. Should you speak to the other 2 children and make changes to Joanne's care plan? Principle 4 is limiting collection. Staff must only collect information required to do their jobs. Principle 5 is limiting use, disclosure, and retention. Limiting use means that personal and personal health information may only be used for the purposes it was collected. Limiting disclosure means that custodians and their agents should only disclose as much personal health information as is reasonably necessary for the identified purpose, unless consent is obtained or otherwise required by law. Limiting retention means that the information is only retained as long as required. This principle outlines the relationship between good records management and effective access and privacy. Principle 6 is accuracy. This means keeping information collected about an individual as accurate and up-to-date as possible. Principle 7 is safeguards. It is important to keep information safe and secure, and to always implement physical, administrative, and technical safeguards. Physical safeguards are actions such as locking your filing cabinets. Administrative safeguards are privacy policies and procedures, and technical safeguards are the use of firewalls and encryption. The CHS Privacy Office, Legal Counsel, and the Information Privacy Commissioner of Ontario, IPC, advise that under no circumstances should any mobile devices be left in a vehicle or the trunk of a vehicle, even if it is for a short time. Keep mobile devices and files with you at all times. If a mobile device or file is stolen or lost, this is considered to be a privacy breach. An employee is given access into the Point-Click Care database to write progress notes for a work-related task. The employee searches for a neighbor they know who was a convalescent care resident for some time and looks at their progress notes. They only look at the records and do not disclose or print the information. Is this an appropriate use of information in Point-Click Care? Two registered staff in a long-term care facility go on break to the coffee shop located next to the front reception desk. While getting coffee, they talk about a patient whose condition has recently taken a severe turn for the worse. The resident's wife is within earshot of the staff members and overhears the conversation. She has not yet been notified about her husband's change in condition, and this is how she first hears the news. Are the registered staff members protecting the resident's privacy? When sending personal information, PI, or personal health information, PHI, by electronic communication, please take note of the following. PHI and PI can only be emailed externally as long as it is by encrypted email and there is no identifying information in the subject line. PI and PHI may be emailed internally as long as there is no identifying information in the subject line. Text messages should only be used to communicate appointments and not to communicate any PI or PHI. Staff should not use personal cell phones to conduct business. Remember to confirm email address, phone number, or contact information before sending an electronic message. Principles 8 and 9 are openness and individual access. Openness means the CHS Privacy Office is open and transparent with all privacy policies and procedures. Individual access means that a client has the right to request access to their personal health information held by the region. If staff receive written or verbal requests from clients for access to their personal health information, please forward these requests to your manager or the CHS Privacy Office. Click on the image of the Access/Correction Request for Personal Health Information form to enlarge it. A link to the form is available under the Resources tab. Principle 10 is compliance. This means that clients have the right to file a complaint with the CHS Privacy Office or the Information Privacy Commissioner of Ontario, IPC, using a complaint form. Click on the image of the form to enlarge it. A link to the form is available under the Resources tab. Glenn is an employee at York Region who works in both long-term care homes. During his shift, he finds a resident's care plan on the lobby floor. The care plan contains detailed personal health information. He does not know who dropped the document, so he throws it in the garbage. Would this behavior comply with Hipaa? A privacy breach occurs when personal information or personal health information is collected, retained, used, or disclosed in ways that are not in accordance with privacy legislation. Privacy breaches can be accidental or malicious. The most common breaches are caused by lost or misplaced items, such as a file or mobile device; theft, such as a laptop stolen in a computer bag; or human error, such as a misdirected fax or email. Privacy breaches can have negative consequences on us all. Some ramifications of privacy breaches include loss of trust, embarrassment to individuals and/or organization, financial loss, potential charges and fines, complaints lodged to the IPC or Ombudsman, investigations, orders, media attention, identity theft. Here is what you need to do if a privacy breach should occur. 1. Contain. Notify your manager or supervisor immediately and the CHS Privacy Office. If possible, retrieve the breached item. 2. Investigate. The CHS Privacy Office collects details of what occurred. 3. Notify. The CHS Privacy Office assists with notifying the affected parties. 4. Improve. The CHS Privacy Office provides recommendations to prevent future breaches. What happens when a privacy breach occurs? On the following slides, you will hear some privacy breach scenarios. Use the 4 steps to manage the privacy breach. Valentina is a resident being discharged home today. You faxed her prescriptions to the pharmacy. You receive a call from the pharmacy asking for Valentina's prescriptions. You soon realize that you have sent her prescriptions to the wrong fax number. Is this considered a breach? On October 1, 2017, Hipaa was amended. The amendments enhance the protection of personal health information in physical and electronic formats from unauthorized access or disclosure, also known as snooping. The amendments also strengthen the consequences for those who violate patient privacy. Please read the following chart that outlines the 2017 changes. If you have any further questions, please contact the CHS IMAP team at extension 74004 or chsprivacy@york.ca. We will be happy to help. Please complete a final test to review what has been shown to you today about Hipaa. You will need a score of 70% or more to pass the test. You may try the test as many times as you need to pass. Click Next to begin.
Welcome to our presentation on fire safety and emergency evacuation, a general overview for all staff, brought to you by Surge Learning. On July 14, 1980, in a nursing facility in Ontario, a fire resulted in the death of 25 patients. The origin of the accidental fire was a patient room on the top floor of the fire-resistant building. There were several factors contributing to the fatalities, including rapid fire development, failure to extinguish the fire in its incipient stage, failure to keep the door closed to the room of origin, improper staff actions, and failure to notify the fire department in a timely fashion. On another day, decades later, a different scenario played out in another nursing home fire. In this case, staff got all 192 residents safely out of the building. The Director of Care credits staff action. They participated in fire drills and followed a well-developed fire plan to move residents safely behind fire separation doors. Take a moment to consider these two scenarios. Jot down the differences in the outcome related to staff action. If you need to respond to a fire alarm or evacuation, do you know what to do? Lives, including your own, depend on it. In this presentation, you will have a general overview of how government laws for fire prevention usually fall under the Office of the Fire Marshal. You will also learn about your care sector and its legislation on fire and emergency education and training. You will understand the basis of your facility's policies and procedures and review typical fire and evacuation responses. In both Canada and the United States, the National Fire Protection Association provides fire protection codes and standards, safety information, education resources, and research. From these codes and standards, each province or state develops their standards with a huge emphasis on building codes. This includes construction materials, fire alarms, sprinkler systems, and so on. They also outline staff education and training requirements for care occupancies. Your local municipality or region is tasked with implementing these standards in your own community, usually through the local fire department. Each care sector, long-term care, assisted living, group homes, and so on, have legislation from health or community governments that include requirements for safety, fire and evacuation education and training. All of these laws and legislation regulate your industry. They are regulated in building design, including fire doors and fire separation. Did you know that in your own home, the door from the house to the attached garage needs to be a fire separation door? The laws also direct fire response. You must have smoke detectors, fire extinguishers, and in most cases, a sprinkler system. There must be an alarm system and overhead paging to provide directions to staff and clients. Education and training includes all levels of staff. For example, direct care staff are usually reporting to their stations, removing clients in danger and closing doors. Senior staff are communicating the plan and perhaps reaching out for community support, especially in evacuation. In most cases, you are required to attend training upon hire and annually thereafter. This is mandatory, and evidence of your participation is recorded and kept. You must also participate in regular drills. The law is slightly different in every jurisdiction. Most of the time, the laws apply to all residential occupancies. This includes private homes and apartments. For our purposes, this applies to facilities where individuals sleep and pay for services such as housekeeping and meals. They may or may not require some level of personal care. We may know these as retirement homes or assisted living apartments. The laws always apply to care and treatment facilities because the individuals being cared for are vulnerable and, due to cognitive and/or physical disabilities, require assistance in responding to an alarm and in evacuating. We may know these facilities as nursing homes, long-term care homes, or group homes for those with mental illness, physical, or developmental disabilities. It includes individuals of all ages. These laws serve a purpose. Consider the 3 items below and select the correct answer. Incorrect. The correct answer is all of the above. All of this is unique to your own jurisdiction and facility. Your job as an employee is to know this information or where to get it. Then, be prepared by participating in the education, training, and drills of your facility. Take a moment to check your knowledge to be sure that you know your local fire department and your sector legislation. Using the box on your right, fill in the blanks. Each facility will have a fire and emergency plan. Your role, which is in your policies and procedures manuals, includes parts of the building code requirements. In addition to the building materials, you may be familiar with inspections and tests of the fire equipment. Sometimes this interrupts your day, yet it is important to make sure everything is in working order. You may do this at home with your own smoke detectors. You will also be educated on the safe use and storage of hazardous materials, including chemicals, and the use of oxygen. The storage room door must display the hazard related to the product that is stored. During a fire inspection, you may be advised that clutter in the corridors and things stored in front of fire extinguishers or doorways is a violation of the fire code. You will also be educated on your facility's fire plan. This plan is a legal requirement, and the education of staff is mandatory. The facility must keep attendance records. Typically, this education is done upon hire and includes an annual refresher. You will also be required to participate in drills. This can be frustrating, but as you saw in the real scenario at the beginning of this presentation, staff saved all lives because they were so well trained. Every facility will have a fire plan. Each plan will be slightly different, yet specific to your organization. Typically, they all include similar actions when fire or smoke is detected. Remove those in immediate danger, then close the door of that room to contain the fire. Sound the alarm. You may be feeling a need to move others out, but a delay in letting the fire department know is a delay in saving lives. Depending upon your alarm system, a phone call to the fire department is usually needed. In most jurisdictions, this is a 911 call. Then, start helping others to leave the fire zone and go to a safe zone behind fire separation doors. While doing this, remember that after the other rooms have been cleared of people, close those doors. Closing doors and windows confines the fire and controls the spread. If you are safely able to do so, use the extinguisher to fight the fire. Let's apply what you have just learned. Jillian and Ivor are on coffee break in the basement staff lounge when they hear the fire alarm. Their actions would be, depending on your facility and the policy, your response may be different. Consider this list of possible responses. Report to your work area and wait for instructions. Report to the fire zone from which the alarm was sounded. Report to the charge person for instructions. In your facility, do you know which of these actions is the right one? Do you need to find more information? Did you know that in facilities where clients may be at risk to wander unsafely, exit doors may be locked using an electromagnetic system or maglock? You will use a keypad or swipe card to override the magnet for a few seconds in order to enter or exit these doors. In a fire, however, once the alarm is activated, the doors automatically unlock. Do you see the benefits and the risks of having these exit doors unlocked? The benefit is unrestricted exit during an evacuation. The risk is those who are vulnerable may leave unattended. Your job may be to monitor these doors for safety. Once an alarm is activated, someone assumes responsibility as temporary fire captain. In long-term care, this is the charge nurse. In other organizations, it may be the manager or supervisor. This person manages a number of things at the same time in order to keep everyone safe and may delegate some of the responsibilities to observe fire panel and identify fire zone. Remove those in immediate danger through fire separation doors to safe zone. Call fire department. Notify all persons using voice paging and one-stage and two-stage alarm systems. Search rooms and ensure everyone is out. Flag the door. Ensure doors and windows are closed to confine and control fire. Send staff to help with evacuation. Send staff to monitor exit doors to prevent unsafe wandering away. Contact other resources if necessary. Community partners. Send someone to meet fire department and escort them to fire zone. In most fire plans, you will be directed to extinguish a small fire, such as in a wastebasket, only if safe to do so, using approved fire equipment. Follow the instructions on the extinguisher. Aim at the base of the fire in a sweeping motion. There are different fire extinguishers for different types of fires. Usually, chemical and electrical fires are not suppressed with water, but rather foams or other chemicals. These can be found in extinguishers labeled as universal or ABC. In your own kitchen, for example, a universal extinguisher is best for fires on the stove, which may contain grease or have an electrical element. Note that the instructions are on the label. Your local fire inspector will have determined the types of extinguishers needed in different areas of your facility. For more information, see the National Fire Prevention Association website or the IAPA document on extinguishers, which can be found in the Surge Library. To check your knowledge of your facility's fire plan, write your answers in the box on the right. Let's practice what you have learned so far by reviewing this scenario. Paulo, a direct care provider, enters a client's bedroom and finds smoldering linen on the client's bed. The client and his roommate are both asleep. Paulo should then read the 4 options, then number them in the correct order. Incorrect. You may need to evacuate clients for many reasons. When there is a fire, noxious fumes, bomb threats, or aggressive responsive behavior, for example. Each facility will have codes for various emergencies that will be announced in an overhead page. Some facilities have a two-stage fire alarm, where the faster ringing will activate for evacuation. Be sure to know your codes. Evacuation requires a planned sequence of events in order to get as many people out as possible in a very short period of time. Let's test your knowledge. Answer the questions below. You are correct. Consider the list below and number the items in order of first to last. Incorrect. Evacuating those who cannot move may require other transfer methods. This may include a manual lift. Check your facility policy and participate in the training. You may need to lower people to the floor and then drag them out on blankets or sheets, or you may get assistance from the firefighters. Be sure that you know your facility policy. If wheeled equipment, including beds, fit through doorways, it may be prudent to wheel rather than lift people. Evacuation moves horizontally at first, through fire separation doors to a safe zone. Sometimes an entire floor is compromised and you must leave that floor and evacuate outside if you are on the ground floor, or vertically to another floor if you are higher up. Click on Yes or No for each of the statements below regarding standard vertical evacuation. The answer is incorrect. The correct answer is no. It is difficult to get people off of a roof. Unless advised otherwise, evacuate downward. The answer is correct. The answer is correct. Never use the elevator. It may get stuck with you inside. Evacuation downstairs presents its own challenges. You may have stair slides that fold down from the wall, or you may need to drag or carry individuals. Firefighters on the scene will assist in managing this. If you evacuate outside, you must have a meeting place established as part of your plan. The senior staff have likely called in your community resources to manage the clients outside and transport them to temporary living arrangements. Their care needs, such as food, water, warmth, medication, and health care, will also be provided by the community team. Once outside, it is important to take accurate count of all persons, including staff and visitors who are in the building. After a fire or evacuation, there is a debrief meeting. At this meeting, staff will consider if the fire plan went well or not. If not, they will analyze what went wrong and then modify procedures and education in order to address the issue. Perhaps you will be asked to participate in debrief. For sure, you will be involved in ongoing education and the opportunity to practice your fire and evacuation plan. In summary, you have reviewed fire laws, sector legislation, facility policy and procedure, typical fire and emergency responses. Take some time to identify your personal learning goals and record them in the text box. Your local fire department has many resources in print and online. Take the time to check it out for your safety at work and at home. There are often fun and educational family activities for fire safety. For further information, review the references provided. Thank you for joining us today for Fire Safety and Emergency Evacuation. This presentation has been brought to you by Surge Learning.